What's the crusade you're going on? A mission to live your life's purpose and passion. What if this year is the last year of your life? What's your God-sized dream? What do you stand for? Live your best life this year. Now, that's the time. I'm going on a crusade to change people's mindsets every single day. So are you on board? Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. And today you're in for a treat. I've got my friend Victoria Brown in the house. Very best self. This girl is amazing. She's been on this meteoric rise in the last several years. She's an instructor for Soul Cycle. She's on Team Under Armour. She's changing the world one class at a time, one session at a time. And you're truly in for a treat today. Speaking of which, one of the things that we talk about in today's episode is Under Armour. And many of you know that I've been with Under Armour for a long time. As a matter of fact, when you go back, it was actually right after the 2006 NFL season. Drew Brees had ripped his shoulder out of the socket. And after a long rehab process of getting his shoulder back, he actually made the Pro Bowl that year. And it was there on the sideline in Honolulu, Hawaii, that I, in early 2007, overheard a conversation with someone from Under Armour, and his name was Bill Hampton. And Bill Hampton was speaking to an athlete, and I just happened to swoop over, stand next to Bill Hampton. When he was done with this conversation, I introduced myself. I said, "Hello, my name is Todd Durkin. I'm a trainer and coach. I'm here with Drew, who obviously is with this team, the Pro Bowl." And Bill said, "How can I help you?" I said, "Bill, I'm looking to change the world, and I want to do it with Under Armour." He stepped back, looked at me for a second, and said, "Let's meet, let's talk." What I did after that conversation is I immediately went back to my hotel room. I wrote up this proposal, stayed up literally all night, did not sleep that night because we set a 7 a.m. the following day meeting. My wife was like, "Todd, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying to change the world right now." I literally wrote this like 14-page proposal all day, all night, stayed up. And Bill Hampton, bless his soul, was the impetus and the introduction for me to get introduced to Kevin Plank, the founder of Under Armour. And before I knew it, I was back in Baltimore, Maryland. I was with Kevin Haley. I was with Hamp, Kevin Haley, Kevin Plank, Tori Hanna, Brian Griffin, BJ Corey. And next thing you know, 2007, I was officially with Under Armour. And now 15 years later, still proudly with Team UA. And it's really cool because I had the opportunity to meet one of our teammates, Victoria Brown, just prior to the pandemic, and hence today's show, because she's doing amazing things. And I absolutely love meeting kindred spirits. And when young fire-breathing dragons, soul transformers are in the world, regardless of their occupation, I love to spend time with them. And you're going to hear from Victoria today. As a matter of fact, Victoria Brown is the host of the Very Best Self podcast. In July 2021, she started that marrying storytelling and purpose. As a certified life coach, meditation, and breathwork facilitator, she's an Under Armour athlete and a Soul Cycle Senior Instructor who travels around delivering incredible, soulful classes. She trains people to find stronger, better versions of themselves. Through empathy and humor, Victoria creates content with purpose, bridging the gap between mental and physical health. You're in for a real treat today. My friends, let's go out to the interview now with the one and the only Victoria Brown. All right, Victoria Brown is in the house. Victoria, welcome to the show.
What is up? I am so pumped to be here. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to have this conversation. I'm so excited to be here. So
I'm pumped up too. Now, where are you right now? Are you in New York City?
I'm in New York City. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, the Big Apple. I love New York. I love it.
Yeah. The energy is so good, especially right now, because listen, I know you're a Southern California guy, and I know that like the weather is amazing there. I know that, and I lived in LA for almost 6 years. Right. And so I can appreciate having good weather, but there is something about the energy in New York City when we get to the other side after a freezing cold winter and like the weather starts to break. Like today it's 73 degrees and it's sunny and it's gorgeous. And I get it that that's your life all the time, but like, I am telling you, people run through the streets like it's madness. Like it's madness. It's like the best feeling. It's so good.
You say I'm a Southern California guy.
I know you're not originally.
I'm a Jersey guy.
I know.
I know. Listen, you could take the guy out of Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of the guy. Y'all have heard that before. I love San Diego. I love SoCal, but there's nothing like going back to the East Coast. When I go back to the shore, the Jersey Shore in the summers, there's nothing better. People think Jersey.
You've been gone too long. You said the shore.
Long. Yeah. When I go back there in the summers, there's nothing better. People think that Jersey, it's like the turnpike. No, go to the shore.
Yeah. Yeah. What do they say? Down the shore. Is that how they say it? Right.
Down the shore. And yeah, I've always loved going to New York City. Like you said, the energy, the vibe. I know it's coming back. I can't wait to get back to NYC. You and I are going to have to do a little workout together when I get back.
100%.
We'll bring the city together. All you nor'easters back there. We'll get Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Maryland. We'll get everyone to come in for an East Coast style workout. But hey, it's great to have you on the show. We initially met back in 2018. We're both part of the Under Armour team. We had that meeting up in Portland, Oregon. And that was our first opportunity to meet with about 20 other coaches, trainers who are on the UA training team. And man, you've been with Under Armour now for how long? Talk about that.
So I've been with Under Armour going on 4 years, and it's been the greatest dream come true. I mean, truly, I think if you're in the fitness industry at all, I think you probably dream of being a sponsored athlete. You dream of being a signed athlete. It was definitely a dream for me. I'm not going to lie. It felt like the big dream. It felt like the dream that I didn't know that I was actually capable of or would actually really happen. And so for me, like when I say it is a dream come true, it really, truly is. I feel grateful every single day that I wake up that I get to be on the Under Armour team.
Here's the number one question I always get. How did you get that? Yep. How did you get that? So tell me how you got that, Victoria.
That is the number one question. And I think it's important that we are transparent about like our how and how we got to where we are. So for anybody out there who's in the fitness industry, who dreams also of being a sponsored athlete or just dreams of, succeeding in whatever industry you're in, for me, because I think that the advice that I would give, I think it transcends to any industry. You start showing up as if you're already that. Point blank, period, full stop.
Yep.
So for me, it's crazy because the universe works in really mysterious, magical ways. And so back when, for me, it was Adidas. I was like, I'm going to be an Adidas athlete. This is like, I'm going to eat, sleep, breathe Adidas. Like I only wore Adidas. I was obsessed with Adidas. Like I really wanted to be like on their team, like whatever. And I think it was at this time, there were a lot of friends of mine in LA who were actually not even real, like, not to like talk down about them, but they weren't even like real trainers, real like in the fitness industry. They were more like, I would say like influencery, didn't even have training certifications. Most of these women weren't teaching fitness, but they were Adidas brand athletes.
Yep.
I should say Adidas brand ambassadors is a better way to say it. So I was like, I want to be like them. That was my thing. And so I started showing up as that. I mean, I did photo shoots all of the time. I would hire photographers. My entire Instagram feed was me in Adidas clothes. Okay. And beyond that, like, I like to get after it at the gym. Like, that's just who I am, like for real. So, I would film my workouts. Like there was a place called Metabolic and I was living in DC at the time. And so I loved this workout. Like I fell in love with it. And so it's like a circuit training type workout. And I would just record myself doing all of these workouts and I would put it on my Instagram when I was like really doing like hardcore like workouts, like real shit, like lifting heavy, running hard, like whatever. And so I was putting all that up. And I think what happened was, this is part of it, but I think what happened was I was packaging myself and showing Under Armour what I could do, but for a different brand.
What year was that?
What year was that?
Yeah. Well, when were you doing
that? Probably 2017.
Okay.
Mostly 2017.
So only 5 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Leading up to when I got signed.
Yeah.
So as it turns out, I guess the person who was at the time, looking to build out the women's team, apparently, I think this is the other piece of it, is work hard, like they say, work hard and be nice to people, And so there was this woman who was looking to fill out the roster, and she somehow, I guess, like my name kept coming up. And so I'm teaching a Soul Cycle class, doing my job as I do. And I remember I taught the class, and after the class, I just like walk out, and I have like this group of like 4 women who come up to me, and they're like, "Hey, we're so-and-so blah, blah, blah with the Under Armour team. We just want to introduce ourselves." And like, we were just in class. And I was like, oh shit.
I got to get this Adidas off me.
No, not even. Cause like, I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about that, Yeah. Like, I was just like, oh man, like, what do they want? Why are they here? I was like, was that class even good? And you immediately and like, I feel like I give my heart and my soul to all of my classes, but I felt like I was just like, oh my God, was that class even good? Like, what do they want? Why are they here?
Yep.
And so they invited me to campus, and it was like crazy because they like rolled out the red carpet. You've been like, and they like gave me a tour of the campus. I walked in, and there was like a giant Jumbotron, like TV screen that had like 1 million photos like pulled from my Instagram. And it was like, welcome Victoria. And I was like, what? This is crazy. So then I like sat, I'm sorry, is this story like way too long winded? I feel like I'm telling you every detail.
I think this is good backstory. Keep going.
Great. Okay. So I'm like sitting at the table, and this is where like everything changed. Everything. So I'm sitting at the table with like this like huge, like, like office business table, whatever, and round table. And it's all women, and they're talking about the brand, and they're talking about what they've done, what they're doing, and where they're going. And I remember feeling so inspired. I remember feeling like this place, this is a family. Like, this is like, these people, like, they care about the people on their team. They don't care about them just when it's like their season to perform. Like, they care about these people. Yep. Like, they also, I feel like Under Armour, for me, I feel like they don't just like go on Instagram and find the person who has the most Instagram followers. That's right. Because I feel like they choose, I think I had like, I want to say I had like 20K followers at the time, maybe. I don't even know, like maybe it was like 16, 17K, who knows? So it wasn't anything to like be like OMG about, And I think that they kind of find, I think people, I like to consider myself anyway, like, maybe like a diamond in the rough, and they're like, we're going to bet on this one. And like, I think they have a really good eye for finding people who have good hearts. I think, not to like toot my own horn, but I can say the same about you, just knowing who you are and how much you care and how passionate you are about what you do. And I think that's not a unique thing to the athletes that we have on our team. I think people, like the people on our team, like the people I've met, they have like good hearts, and they're really passionate, and they really genuinely care about training and about, making people better and making people stronger, and like what they put into their work. Yep. And so I feel like, I was putting everything I had into Adidas, but really what I was doing was showing Under Armour what I could do for them. And what it came down to is those women, they said that they had gotten there early. One of them who was in charge, Caitlin at the time. I don't know if you know Caitlin.
Of course.
And so Caitlin said she got there early.
Awesome.
And she was waiting for me to start my class. I didn't know who she was. Right. I didn't even notice that she was sitting there. Apparently she just watched me. And she was like, it's not your job to give every rider who walks in the front door, ask them their shoe size and give them water. Like, that's not in the job title of an instructor. And she was like, but you greeted every single person when they walked in the door. She was like, it was insane to me that it seemed like you knew every single person's name. And you just like the way that you connected with humans. She was like, that's what really sold me. And I was like, wow. Okay.
Yep. Caitlin's awesome. Who else was in that meeting? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. Kayla was there. Yeah. Julia, probably Lindsay, who's my boss now. Yeah. But I don't know if she was there.
You had all the big wigs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, tell me now that you've been with UA for almost 5 years, right? 4 or 5 years now. And it's interesting you talking about Adidas. I remember early 2000s, way before your time, before I was with Under Armour, Adidas used to have this 3-stripe instructor program. I'm going to show my age a little bit now for all you folks. If you're a trainer, you're a coach, you used to get this magazine and like, you have no money as a trainer, right? You're like, man, if I could save 20 bucks on shoes, I'm going with that. And for years, I mean, my earliest VHS tapes, then DVDs were in Adidas. And then finally in 2007, when UA came on board and we started playing together, I made that change like yourself. But I remember like being part of a program like that. And I'm like, Under Armour, we've got to create this conglomerate for trainers and coaches as influencers. Because listen, every trainer, every coach, whether you're in a very small studio, you're a large brick and mortar gym, you're in a box, you're a virtual trainer, trainers and coaches have the ability, obviously, to influence their clients and members physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, on all levels. So that's one of the things that even now with Under Armour, I'm trying to like, all right, we got to create this UA trainer instructor program where trainers get these small discounts because they go a long way, right? They're smart.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think we just, to wrap that all up, I think we end up where we're supposed to be. Truth.
I know it's a great family is all I'll say. And I've been with them since 2007, a long time now, 15 years. And it's a family, and I've seen a lot of changes and that, but I know when we all met together as a training team in 2000, I believe it was 18 up there in Portland. It was great to meet you and the rest of the other quote new trainers on board. And there's a lot of great things happening with the movement. We always say that, we make all athletes better and all people are athletes. So
that's right.
Tell me now, what is it you do now? When someone says, Victoria Brown, what do you do? Because you have a lot of different hats. How do you explain it?
I got a lot of different hats. So I am a Soul Cycle instructor. I've been with Soul Cycle for it is now. I just celebrated 10 years of being with Soul Cycle.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, I would say like my main thing. And then everything stems from there. So now I'm also a meditation teacher and I've, built like a kind of a huge community over 10 years. I guess I move around a lot. So, I started out in Los Angeles. I lived in Washington, DC after that. And then now most currently, obviously New York City. And so I worked with Soul Cycle in all 3 of those markets. And now also I'm one of 14 instructors on the at-home platform. So you can ride a class with me anywhere in the world. Even if you don't have a Soul Cycle bike, you can download the Soul Cycle, the app, the Equinox Plus app. And so people can ride with me all over. So I'm in studio at least once a week and filming and recording classes and, on the bike all the time.
So let me ask you a couple questions. Ask you a couple questions. Having never done a Soul Cycle class, I think my first one.
We're going to change that.
I was going to say my first one needs to be with you.
Yeah.
Why would someone come to Victoria Brown's Soul Cycle class? What do they say? What would your clients say about you and your class?
You might come for the sweat initially.
Okay.
But it is so much more than that. It is so much bigger than that. And I think, I take my 45-minute class and really I try to remind people of their power, of their strength, of their potential. And, there's such an arc to the class of what you can experience. And I think people keep coming back for the community because, I've built out now the VB squad, the very best self squad, if you will. And so like, that's just kind of the team, the community of people throughout LA, DC, and New York City, and now the at-home bike who all kind of ride with me. But the thing that we share is that we're all trying to find stronger versions of who we already are and do it together.
Yeah. Do you incorporate meditation into your classes at the end at all?
So sort of, there's a part we lift. So it's a 45-minute class, the arc of the class, right? And then, at a certain point, there's an arm series that's usually around 6 to 7 minutes long. And
6 to 7 minutes of arms?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I call
So
that
we take them to the gun show.
The arm farm, baby. We go to the arm farm.
That's right. That's right. I love that. Yeah. So there's an arm series in every class that we lead. And then from there, there's like a sort of like quiet introspective moment where like we call it our soulful moment, if you will. So there's like a song that'll be, 3 to 6 minutes long or however long it is, usually after the arm song. And so that's when the lights are down all the way. The candles are out. It's basically pitch black in the room. And you have this like moment to really connect with yourself. And so that's generally when an instructor would say more like motivational, inspirational things. And you get, and in my classes, like I'll tell people like, this is your time. You can close your eyes, drop your head, and open up your heart space and just kind of like ride to the beat of the music. And then, it's up to you to feel whatever you need to feel. But a lot of people tend to cry. It's very, very common to cry. It can be kind of a cathartic experience, and not to like, push away anybody who's like a hardcore athlete. Like the workout will kick your ass. That's for sure. And you don't have to cry, but if you feel so inclined, it's available to you. So it's moving meditation, I would say, in that sense. But
I need to take a class.
You got to get in there. I can't wait to have you in there.
I need a good cry.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I've been the last several years at the end of the classes I teach this Wednesday night class, and it's the TD Fitness. They call it Total Development Fitness, TD Fitness. And the last, I say 2 minutes, I call it the 2-minute drill. It's really about 10 minutes now because it's grown, and it's a meditation after this high intensity kick butt workout. I've been finding that people, they're not necessarily requesting it, but they're requesting it because every time we do it, when we're done, people just lie there and stay there in the savasana, just corpse pose, and they're breathing. And like you said, sometimes that elicits tears coming out. And, if they're tears of joy, tears of sadness, it doesn't really matter. I call it the 2-minute drill because in sport, as you know, Victoria, 2-minute drill typically is chaotic, crazy. You got to think quick. But like I say, a lot of times good players can speed a game up, but the great ones can slow it down. How do you slow life down? And a lot of times we just need a guided meditation for 1-2 minutes while you're on a bike and you hear some incredible music, and that opens up the heart and the soul. And I think in the industry as a whole, I believe that yin, breathwork, meditation, visualization is going to be an even more important part of the post-workout, because you let your guard down, you can chill out, you can relax. And everyone's like, man, can we just have a meditation class? I'm like, we could, but let's get the workout in first, and then we'll do some more meditation. So I applaud you. I'm going to take a Soul Cycle class with you, and I might need to bring my tissues at the end.
Yeah.
I love it. Why has Soul Cycle been so successful? Obviously, they've had a meteoric rise in the last decade. Maybe it's because you've been with them, but what else is it that Soul Cycle has done so well to impact so many lives positively?
So Soul Cycle just celebrated its sweet 16 birthday, which is unprecedented.
Yeah.
To be a name in the fitness industry for 16 years, it's insane. And I taught 2 classes on their birthday. Wow. I taught a 7 a.m. class and I taught a 6:30 p.m. class. Both classes were waitlisted. And I'm looking out at a room, and I've got 65 people in a room at 7 a.m. and I got 65 people in a room at 6:30 p.m. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how do they do it? How is it that 16 years into the game, I've got 2 waitlisted classes? And so the answer to that question to me is just the people. Yeah. It's the people. It's this idea that a workout can be so much more than a workout. People work out because it feels good, but there is another layer to it. There's another level that you can reach. And if anybody's ever hit that, like, their stride in a workout where like your instructor or your coach or your trainer says something to you that kind of like kicks you into this high gear where you're just like, all of a sudden you want to lift a little bit heavier. You want to take that extra rep. You want to go a little bit harder. Like, that is what this workout pulls out of people. Yep. And so I think it's like, it's training for life is really what I would call it. And that's how I train my the people who ride my riders. It's training for life, because I'm not talking about the workout most of the time. Like I'm a little bit, obviously, I'm focusing on form. I'm focusing on things that are important that matter. But like beyond that, I'm like, take what it is that you're fighting for outside of the four walls that we're in and put that on the bike and push through it here, get to the other side of it here. And so really, and I just, I call my 7 a.m. squad, we're the go-getters club, and I'm like, now you got to go out and get your day, like right here. Like you walk out of that door and then what? Like, what are you going to create? What are you going to succeed at? What are you going to achieve? What's next for you? And the biggest message I've been talking about a lot during my classes recently is that your next level is not given. Your next level is chosen. And so I talk about that a lot. So imagine yourself pushing through, a really hard, either going fast or we're going slow or we're doing choreography. There's a lot going on, but, you just imagine yourself pushing through a hard workout and then having someone say those things to you. And you're like, yeah, you're right. Like, if you want to go somewhere new, you want to go to a new height, you want to reach a next level, like that's not going to be given to any one of us. Like we have to go to it. You have to create it. You have to choose it, which means you got to take the action steps to get there. And then suddenly I feel like all of this is happening and you are forgetting that you're working out. That is what I always aim to do, is to get my riders to this place where they're not even thinking about what they're doing physically, because it's about so much more than that mentally.
Yeah, gosh, that's good. That's good. We just have been doing this series here on the podcast called Chasing Greatness. And what I just heard is you saying, choose greatness, choose it, right? Like see it, visualize it. Interesting enough, on the other side of Soul Cycle, Under Armour, another family, The Rock has earned greatness. Earn greatness. That's one of the, right. So you have choose greatness. What you're basically saying is choose it. Rock saying earn it. And so whether you're choosing it, chasing it, earning it, it's about that choice, visualizing, and then ultimately going to make it happen. And you say about Soul Cycle in the people, and I've studied and watched Soul Cycle for a while. I think they do have some amazing people, but they've been extremely strategic. And I think they've done an amazing job capturing the experience of someone like yourself, who does an amazing job creating the experience. It's not just about the number of people coming in. To your point is you've touched everyone that comes in, all 65 people. If someone's online, you make them feel special, and how you treat them. It doesn't matter if there's 3 people in the class or there's 60 people in the class. Everyone feels VIP. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're one of the, celebrated, influential ambassadors for Soul Cycle, for Under Armour. It's because the way you make them feel. And that's a huge aspect. And my hats off to you, because Soul Cycle has recognized that, Victoria. Under Armour's recognized that. I've recognized that, as far as just all that you're doing, and your humility continues to come through. So I love it. I can't wait to get on that Soul Cycle. I'm asking right now, who else out there wants to join me and join me in a good old workout with Soul Cycle with Victoria at some point.
Let's go.
It's going to happen. Talk about your personal brand, your very best self, VB, Victoria Brown, very best self brand. What is very best self brand all about?
So my name is Victoria Brown. I go by VB. And I guess back when I was living in LA, I have no idea where it came from. I don't know who started it, but somebody was like VB squad. So this is referring to the squad of people who would like ride in all of my classes. Okay. So I hated it. I hated it so much because I'm like, that implies that it's about me. VB squad implies that it's about me. And, it caught on like wildfire. Everybody's like, VB, you're on the squad, VB squad, like whatever. And then it followed me to DC. And so I was just like, well, whatever, this is what people want to say, but like, I didn't make it up. And I really wanted to be clear that I didn't make it up, because it just, it's a little, I don't know, conceited or whatever. I think if you're like naming your, using your name for the squad, I don't know. So I didn't love it, but whatever. So at that point, like it just really did. It just caught on. It really did. We had like t-shirts and everything. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to like make this more than what it is. I want to start an Instagram account. I want to just kind of see where this goes and like see where I can take this. And I used to have like events in DC all the time where I would like bring all the people who worked out with me. Like we would do like a rooftop, like happy hour, drink or don't drink, whatever. But like, I'd bring people together and get like, signature cocktails, the VB squad cocktail, whatever. And I remember I announced it one time, like on a rooftop. I was like, we're starting the at VB squad, like Instagram account. Like we're doing that. Actually, I got ahead of myself. Let me explain the part before that. So I wanted to change it, and I wanted to make it more. I wanted to make it more than what it was, right? Just like the VB squad, like what is that, right? So I was on the phone with a lawyer because I was trying to get the @VB squad Instagram handle. Okay. And it only had like 1 follower. It had 0 posts. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like they don't even use it. I want it. Like, how do I get it? So I'm on the phone with this lawyer, trying to figure it out. And honestly, I thought it was going to be super easy because clearly this person doesn't use it. And I was sending them DMs, but they weren't even seeing the DMs. So I'm like, what the hell? So as I'm sitting there and I'm on the phone with this lawyer, I'm sitting in my car and I'm looking on Instagram and I'm like, what else could this stand for? VB squad, VBS. And I like took the first 3 letters, VBS. And I was like, oh, it just like hit me.
Boom.
Very best self.
Interesting.
And I'm like, that's all we're trying to be anyways, is our very best selves. And as I'm on the phone with the lawyer, I literally punch in on Instagram @verybestself, and it wasn't taken. I'm like,
divine moment.
Yeah. I was like, you're joking. I was like, how is that not taken? I'm like, how is very best self not taken on Instagram? This is madness. So I literally am on the phone. I'm like, actually, you know what? Never mind. I no longer need your services. We're good here. Like, I don't need it. So then I got to keep VB squad that had already caught on like wildfire. But now instead of it being like Victoria Brown squad, it's the very best self squad. And then, so I had this like rooftop party and I like announced it to like my biggest like core members that like, you know, this thing is now the very best self squad. And so, you know, I've made apparel, have a life coaching program that I started, the Very Best Self Project. And then coming late summer, early fall, I have an actual physical, the Very Best Self journal that will be coming out. And it's just kind of grown and evolved into a brand now.
Well, isn't that an awesome story? The very best self, because isn't that what everyone's searching for, is their very best self, right?
And obviously I forgot my Very Best Self podcast. I have that too.
Exactly. So talk about journaling, because you say you're bringing a journal into the world here by the fall. I love journaling. I've been a huge proponent. And that's another common question I get is, I hear you, Todd. I want to journal, but where do I start? Do I just get a blank notebook? Do I get one of the many other journals that exist? What does your journaling practice look like?
So I will share my journaling practice with you, but for anyone who feels overwhelmed by journaling, I would say to those people, start with write one thing you're grateful for every day. Just one.
Yep.
And if that's where you want to start and like that feels good to you, then like, great, just start small. Because some people, I know it's very, very common that people are sometimes overwhelmed by journaling. And you can free write if you want, but that feels scary. Sometimes opening up a blank sheet of paper can feel scary to people too. And they're like, well, what do I write about? What do I do? You know? So my journaling practice that I try to do every single day, and what I will be putting into a notebook is I am, I will. So the first prompt is I am grateful for, and beneath that you'll write 3 things. The second prompt is I am proud of, and you'll write 3 things. And the third prompt is I will accomplish today, and you write 5 things. And the fourth prompt is I will accomplish in the future, and you write 5 things. So let's break that down. The reason I love it is you begin at the top, which is what are you grateful for? Right? So that's the best way to start any day, is to remind yourself what you're grateful for. The second prompt, I believe, is what makes my journaling process unique and special compared to any other journaling process out there that I have seen, which is what are you proud of? I think that human beings are so fixated on what we want to accomplish in the future and where we're headed. And sometimes our goals are so big, and they should be. But what happens is that our goals are so big and our goals are so far out in the future that it can make you feel really small in the moment. It can make you feel less than in the moment. And kind of sometimes I think, you know, these big, scary, hairy, audacious dreams that we have, they just feel like they feel insurmountable sometimes. And so we get stuck in this like headspace of like, can I do it? I don't know. And we question ourselves and we doubt ourselves. And what happens as a result of that sometimes is we do nothing. right? And we become stagnant and complacent. So I think, to me, the most powerful part of this journaling process is to sit and write what you're proud of. Yeah. So what are you grateful for immediately brings you to the present moment. Yep. Right? What are you proud of immediately takes you backwards. That's so right. It reminds you of everything that you've ever done that's brought you to this point that you're at today. Every obstacle you've faced, all these things you've overcome. So, and you realize that the list of what you're proud of is actually really, really, really long.
And the thing is, we
still forget it. And it's like it's like you finally get to check off a box that you did something or you accomplished something. And we're just so fast to be on to the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, that we forget to be proud of everything we've ever done. And so, maybe today it's like, I am proud that I'm an Under Armour athlete, right? So that I don't take that for granted, because, I've been on the team for a while. So maybe that's what I write down today. Or maybe I am really proud that I have, been at Soul Cycle for 10 years, or I'm really proud that I'm an amazing mom. I'm not a mom, but I'm just giving an example. I am a dog mom, whatever it is that you're just proud of.
I'm proud of the fact that I got through the last 2 years of a pandemic that actually had to show a ton of resilience, even though I was depressed, downtrodden, lost, empty, broken, all of the things. Like, to look back and remember who you are is tremendously empowering to say, I've got the strength, or, hey, I'm proud that I actually came from nothing and now have the ability to be something, right? Like, whatever that is. I love that. Or maybe you're just
proud that you did the laundry today. You're proud that you worked out today. Yep. You're proud that you had a hard conversation that you've been putting off, right? It doesn't need to be like a massive, big thing you're proud of. It can be something really small to say, like, today I got up before 7 a.m. and I'm proud of myself for that, whatever it is, it's your thing. You get to write whatever you want to write. But I think that I think if we want to propel ourselves forward in life, I think it's really important to look backwards. And I like to do it every single day. I really do.
When do you usually do it? What time do you?
In the morning.
In the morning. Okay.
Yep. I do it when I wake up, because then I write my hit list, right? So we go with gratitude first, then we go with what you're proud of. Then I go to my hit list. So these are the top 5 things that, like, I know I want to accomplish today. Like, these are, I will accomplish today. These are my top freaking 5. Like, these are the most important. I'll write those things down. And then we go into the future, right? So it's like, it's present, past, and then future. So we go into the future, which is, I will accomplish in the future. So, and from a manifestation, point of view, I try to write the same exact 5 things every single time. And I write them as if they've already happened.
Love it.
So I am a New York Times bestselling author. I have a top 100 wellness podcast. Like, I write these things that I want in my life that I'm working towards, but I write them as if they're in the present tense, as if they've already happened. So that's what I do every day.
You're speaking them into existence.
Right. Exactly.
And you rewire the brain to visualize that, think it, say it. And when you write it down on paper, remember, writing creates clarity. Clarity precedes genius. By writing it down on paper and seeing it, you do manifest that if you take action on it. So, what's interesting about journaling, and in 2022 here, my journaling process has expanded because I've always done a decent job journaling in the morning. But I'm actually doing now morning and a very short evening journaling practice, because I wasn't sleeping good at night. So I started doing some journaling on gratitude, what I did accomplish today. And it's actually been a nice way to sit down for 3, 4, 5 minutes in the evening and reflect upon the day as well. So I love your practice here, Victoria. Can't wait for your journal to come out. They'll have to definitely let me know when it does so. And folks will have to pick up. I'm assuming it's going to be the very best self journal. Yep.
You were right about that. It's like I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be like for me, the thing that, I don't know, kicks off a lot. I just have this feeling I feel so passionate about the process, and I just cannot freaking wait to share it with people. And you can write down what I just told you, and you can do that on your own. Right. Sure. But I cannot freaking wait to get this in people's hands. And I just can't wait just to get it out into the world and share it.
I always say there's something special about having a journal in your hand, especially if it like smells good, it's leather bound or something where it's like, that's your journal. This is your life right here. And you just gave us some foresight into the future, but I'm curious, you spoke about a few of the things, but what does your future look like? You've had tremendous success up to this point. You've got big visions and big dreams for your life. What are a few of those things in addition to the VBS journal coming out?
The future of Victoria Brown, or Very Best Self, to me, I think it's, I want to speak more. I want to do a TED Talk. I want to really I'm obsessed with the podcasting world. I'm obsessed with podcasting, and I'd like to just continue to have that grow and evolve and change, and just continue to help more people. I mean, the goal here for me right now, like as I'm sitting here with no journal in my hand at all, because it hasn't even been made yet, but like the big long-term dream for me, actually, let's not even call it long-term, because like I'd like it to happen in the next 3 years. But I want that journal to be for sale in every Target in the country. That's what I want. And then, move on to other things like, Post-it notes and pens and with inspiration on them, just to get you through your day. Yeah, no,
that is so. The journaling is a big part of it, and you bring your soul into that, obviously. Well, I know the future is bright. That's for darn sure. So much of what you do, Victoria, that I see and have known since I've known you, you bring a lot of purpose, you bring a lot of passion to the game, whatever you're doing, whether it's teaching a Soul Cycle class, whether it's, you're writing an article or blog, or you're showing up at an event, you're doing some traveling, you're always showing up with tremendous passion. Where does that come from?
I am a deeply passionate person. I am. I think it comes from, I really like wholly believe like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing in this life. Yep. I do. I think that I live my life on purpose and with purpose. I really do. And I think that I don't think I've ever really settled. I mean, there was a time after college where I went and did like a marketing internship as like marketing and PR, because I was like, well, this is maybe a good path. I'll do this. And I was living my life from a place of, this is what I'm supposed to do, instead of what I'm actually like, who I am at my core, what my core self like truly wants. And, I think also, and so that didn't last very long, but I think also, I dealt with, I think a lot of beautiful things in life stem from loss. And so I, dealt with loss at a very young age. And, we lost my aunt when I was in third grade, and she was only 19. And I think there's just been for whatever reason, the way that it affected me, and the way the tragic accident that happened and how it affected my family. I always think like it's affected how I show up in the world and who I am, and feeling like, at only 19 years old, she was so young. So I feel like it's also every day I'm like, this could be the last, you just don't know. And so I really do really, really, really live my life in a way that like, I don't want to ever have any regrets ever.
Yeah. Well, one thing I can say about you is you are authentic, and you show up as authentic. And whether you're teaching a class, it's on social media. And I recommend that you follow Victoria on social media, because Victoria, your posts are aspirational, and people are looking for inspiration all the time. I think you do an amazing job on social media, obviously when you're teaching classes, but it's authentic. It's real. It's not fabricated. It's you, and it's your heart and soul that's sharing with the world. So I thank you for that. Obviously here on the Impact Show podcast, and I love podcasting as well. Impact to me is something that is near and dear to my heart, and why I do this show and why I do what I do. What does impact mean to you, and how is Victoria Brown creating max impact in the world today?
I think impact, while it seems like it is all about other people, I think impact actually starts with yourself. I think it starts with, I think we're better friends, we're better spouses, we're better siblings, we're better partners, we're better coworkers, we're better everything. Yep. When we are first and foremost show up for ourselves.
I love it.
I think that's how we make impact, is when you make sure that your cup is filled, that you carve time out of your day for meditation and for journaling, or if whatever feels good for you, right? Because it's different for everybody. But I think when we carve time out of our day for ourselves, and when we live our personal lives in our most authentic way and bring joy into our lives by doing things that bring us joy, I think we can then in turn be there for everyone around us. I don't know if you're familiar with who Dr. Amen is.
Of course.
So I had him on the podcast, and I remember he says in his book as well, it is our moral obligation to be happy. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean it's our moral obligation? And he's like, we spend time with other people. Like when you go home from work every day, your husband or your wife or your kids, like how you act around them affects all of those people. Yeah. It does. Yeah. So it's our moral obligation to live our best lives so that we can be there for other people around us and the people that we love the most. So I would say long-windedly, that's what impact means to me. I think it means showing up for yourself so that you can effectively show up for others. And I think also just giving of yourself, because anytime you give, it always comes back tenfold. And lastly, I would say that if you feel like you want to make more impact, or you want more of something in your life, always be the thing that you think that you need, right? So if you're like, I don't have enough love in my life, then start giving more love to other people. If you don't feel appreciated, then start appreciating yourself, right? It's all this like give and take of and I think that's how impact is born.
So let me ask you a question. Why do you feel when you say to take care of yourself, your very best self, why do you think so many people struggle or feel guilty when they take the time for themselves? Maybe I don't have the time to journal, or I don't have the time to meditate. It's been
ingrained in us.
Mm-hmm. So what do you say about that? Mm-hmm.
Especially women. Yeah. When I do like a lot of my like life coaching clients, I would have a lot of women who would come to me and say, I don't do anything for myself. I need to do this for me.
Yep.
It's been, I think the society is changing. I think men definitely experience it as well, but it just feels like, our prior generation, it was like, you have to give everything to your kids, and you have to give everything to your job, and you need to give everything to your spouse. True. Well, what is left over? Yeah. What is left over for you? And I think it's such ingrained in us as a society, but it's just backwards.
So true.
It's backwards.
You're drowning and you're going down. You're helping everyone else but yourself.
Yeah.
I joke around with my wife. She's always like, the cobbler's wife has no shoes. You got to take care of yourself. I'm like, I know. That's why I'm working out like a madman. It's so funny though, because even as a trainer, as a coach, it's easy when you're in that servant mentality. You take care of the family, take care of the kids, you take care of your team or your employees, whatever it is, you take care of everyone else. And if you're out there and you're feeling guilty about anything that you're doing that is personal care, stop today. Victoria and I are saying stop. Personal care is mandatory if you want to be your very best self. You must take care of yourself in world-class ways. So Victoria, I want to say thank you for being a woman of impact and all that you're doing for Soul Cycle, for Under Armour, for the very best self brand, for your podcast, for the journal that's about to come. But most importantly, how you're showing up in the world is truly inspirational. I just want to say thank you.
I could say the same all right back to you. So thank you so much for having me on, and just for all the work that you do, because I'm obsessed. I love it all. I think we're very kindred spirits in that sense. And I want to thank you so much for having me on. It's fun to just jam with you.
Totally. I hear you. We're going to need to do something on the East Coast together. We're going to figure out an impact event over there in the NYC or New Jersey. Victoria, if someone would like to follow you, which I'll highly recommend you follow Victoria Brown, what's the best way to do that? Is it on Instagram, Facebook? Where can one jam with you, or even on your podcast?
Yeah. So at Victoria Brown is my Instagram handle. And then we also have the podcast handle at Very Best Self, as you know. And then, that's the podcast, Very Best Self Podcast. And you're going to be on there very soon. We're going to do this pod swap thing, which is like freaking awesome. And I'm obsessed. Swap.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. Can't wait. I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, folks. Make sure you listen to Victoria on all her different channels, including her podcast. Yes, yours truly will be on her show as well. We'll reverse the roles a bit, but Victoria, thank you so much for sharing all about being your very best self today.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. I hope you are fired up after that conversation with Victoria Brown. So awesome to connect with her. You talk about passionate, you talk about purposeful, you talk about someone who's on fire to help change the world, whether she's teaching a Soul Cycle class, she's doing one of the many gigs that we'll do with Under Armour. Victoria Brown certainly is committed to being her very best self as well. I hope you glean some tremendous motivation and inspiration out of today's episode. If you could do us a favor, number one, make sure you follow Victoria, but two, also, please forward this episode onto someone else who may need some motivation today. I believe Victoria talked about it when she was talking about Soul Cycle and what she does with Soul Cycle and why Soul Cycle has been so uber successful. It's all about the people. And I'm tremendously proud and grateful myself of the great community we have here on the Todd Durkin Impact Show. I talk about fire-breathing dragons and life transformers all of the time. And I want to say thank you to you for being that fire-breathing dragon, for being that mind-right maniac, that person who's committed today to be your very best self. So until next time, remember, train hard, eat right, and always, always live inspired. Time to go create some impact. Until next time, peace and God bless.